everyone, and welcome back to the Fairway to Retail Success. I'm your host, Justine, the AGM's Director of Membership and Education. Today's episode is extra special because I am thrilled to have Maggie Flurschutz, the Director of Retail at Baltusrol Golf Club in Springfield, New Jersey, joining us. Maggie and I go way back. I am grateful to call her my first friend in the golf industry. We were lucky enough to first work together over 7 years ago at Baltusrol. And again, about 3 to 4 years ago, our paths crossed again. Her unwavering passion for golf merchandising and commitment to excellence at her facility are just a few of the reasons why I'm excited to have her on this show. Maggie's ties to the golf industry run deep. As the daughter of a PGA professional, she was introduced to the game at an early age and studied PGA professional golf management at Methodist University. Along her career journey, she has spent time at prestigious clubs, including the Country Club in Brookline, Massachusetts, and the Country Club of Florida in Boynton Beach, Florida. And in her time at Baltusrol, the facility has been recognized as a top 10 best of the best platinum award winning facility in both 2024 and 2025, which is a true honor. Today, we'll dive into Maggie's career journey, her work at Baltusrol, and the exciting initiatives she's driving in golf retail. Maggie, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Thanks, Justine, for having me. I'm very excited.
So, I know I spoke a little bit about your background in my introduction, but can you take us a little bit more through what your career journey has looked like, how you got started, and what led you to your current role at Baltusrol?
Sure. So, as you mentioned, my golf roots run deep. The daughter of a PGA golf professional, I was running around the golf course once I could walk. So, that I owe a tremendous amount to. My father would bring me to the PGA show starting at age 14, and that's how I realized I wanted to get into golf, and I found the PGM section of the PGA show and just started talking to different schools and eventually realized that I'm pretty serious about this. So my parents took me on different tours of these universities, and I ended up going with Methodist University, and mostly because it felt like a home away from home, and I'm very fortunate for my time spent with Bob Bruns and Jerry Hogg, who led me to various internships, starting at Inverness Golf Club in Chicago under Josh Pius, the Patterson Club under Chris Kenny in Connecticut, and then I went to Baltusrol under Leah Turner and Ryan Fontaine, and that's where I met Justine in 2018. That's where it all started. And then after that internship, I went to the Country Club under Brendan Walsh and his team, where I really learned more about the culture I wanted to create and where I ended up. And then I did North South for a little bit. I went to the Country Club of Florida under Chris Kushner, like you said. And I went back to the Country Club as an assistant golf professional. Went after that summer, went back to Country Club of Florida. I was the golf shop manager there. And then in about February of 2021, I was hired back at Baltusrol as the director of retail. And I'm very fortunate for where my path has led me. And I don't think I would have figured out what I exactly wanted to do without all of these experiences and the people that I've met along the way.
Absolutely. And I know you're one of many folks that we know that have come out of the Methodist program that just have heard nothing but glowing things about it, as well as all the other PGM programs out there really shaping the future and current leaders of golf and retail, quite a few retailers as well. So, Baltusrol has an incredible retail culture. I know I'm a little bit biased when I say that because I did work there. However, how would you describe your retail culture and what steps do you take to maintain it day to day?
So I think the main thing we try to focus on is we support each other as a team. Golf supports retail and retail supports golf, vice versa. I'm fortunate enough to have a larger team. I have Jennifer as a merchandise manager, Kelly as a merchandiser, and then Maeve, Kathy, shop helpers, but we all have one goal, and that's to provide the utmost service, customer service to our members and their guests. And we all have different roles, but it's so important for us to communicate with each other in all areas from receiving to tagging to organizing, event planning. And while doing that with high communication, we're servicing the members and their guests the best way we can.
Absolutely. And I think there's a focus on finding a way to always say yes to your members and exhausting every option and leaning on the folks around you to find those solutions that maybe aren't obvious. So it's all that common goal of that customer service. And I think you're so right about it being one team. It's not an us versus them conversation ever. It's one and the same. It's one operation. And they help each other. And I can say, I think what was the biggest impact on me was when I was starting out in golf retail was leaning on those golf assistant golf professionals at Baltusrol that are world class young PGA professionals who were so willing to help the retail team and so willing to share what they knew that it made everything complete the circle. It's one ecosystem, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I agree with you back to 2018 that they really helped shape me and help me learn how to communicate with members and with the team as a whole. Shout out to 2018.
Yes, it's always. So, one of the most exciting initiatives I know you worked on in your time as the director of retail is the creation of the club's brand book, which is very unique. Can you tell us a little bit about this, how it was developed and eventually implemented in the shop?
Sure, yeah. So the club wanted to create consistency and guidelines for the logo and pay closer attention to the way we're using it. And that's from food and beverage supplies to communications and items for sale in the golf shop. So it was developed by Tim Hipster, our communications director, along with a committee that was formed for this project. And once I joined, there were a lot of discussions on do's and don'ts and providing samples and just getting into the nitty-gritty of from the golf shop side, what do we want to allow and what is us and what are we trying to achieve here. And we have a digital and printed copy for staff to have on hand and for me to communicate with the vendors. So
Mhm.
everything's very clear. I don't get many questions on can we do this, can we do that, because they did such a great job in just creating an easy step by step on you can do this, but you can't do that. And it all came together nicely and it's so clean that really anyone could read it and understand what we're trying to do.
hmm It doesn't leave any questions or things up
Exactly.
to interpretation.
Yes.
And I think the logo situation, I don't know if this is something you're hearing from other folks in up in the Northeast, but I think the logos is going to become a bigger conversation. I'm starting to hear from some of our merchandisers this year who are running into the issues with an old version of a logo versus a new version of a logo versus what they might have inherited in their golf shop going into a
Mhm.
new job. And so I'm starting to hear more of those conversations around cleaning up logos. So I think that's going to become more important. And then by effect, the vendors will start to also reflect that in their logo treatments and all that.
Yeah, that was a huge part of when I joined is making sure the vendors delete the old logos so there's just no room for error because some things can slip through the cracks. So just making it as simple as possible and just removing what's not needed anymore at this point.
Exactly. And how has the brand book impacted your vendor relationships and how you select product? Has it caused you to think about the way you're curating your assortment differently?
Sure. At first, I thought this is going to be so difficult. Like, how can I be creative
Mm.
and have this book of rules, let's say? But then I really tried to focus on the history of the club and why we're doing this and ordering items that resonated with our history and tradition here. And it created clear instructions and simplified my decisions overall and our decisions as a team. We didn't really have to think of, is this going to look better with tonal, or are these big numbers or letters for us? And now our team and vendors are very clear on the expectations of our logo sizing, the thread colors, and overall the presentation of the items in the shop and what we're ordering.
Because I could see how someone might take a risk or step outside the box and then get used to that, and it would just build upon getting further and further away from that heritage and the respect for the historic logo that a club might have.
Yeah, and it really helps us, like, we're making the decisions, not the vendor. And so it, like I said, it just creates clear communication
Mhm.
between us. This is our expectation. This is how it has to be. And let's work together to just create and keep this consistency.
Exactly, exactly. And giving that really cohesive
Hmm.
feeling of your product and the brand image overall. And like you said, I think folks don't think of it beyond necessarily the shop, but that the napkins in the dining room, the letterhead, the stationery, everything is going to be reflective of that same brand, which is awesome. What advice might you give to another retailer or another golf shop that is maybe looking to establish some brand guidelines for the first time to really elevate their retail offerings?
So I thought a lot about this, and I was thinking, like, you start with your visual identity and expectations that align with your club
Mm.
and the club's core values. Tradition creates consistency, right? Which is what we were trying to accomplish here. So, aside from tradition and your club's beliefs, what sets you apart? Location,
Mm.
amenities, the heritage,
Mhm.
and then who's your target member? So, like, what it can be difficult to focus on a few members. So I think as a whole, if you think of demographics, lifestyles, preferences, and tendencies that you just notice in the shop just from being around, being present, I think that's really how you start. And you just go deeper from there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's terrific. So, speaking to that member piece of things, Baltusrol is really known for some of their members only exclusivity, and you have a members only logo at your shop. Can you tell us a little bit about that and the role it plays in reinforcing the club's brand identity and like how is it used for your members?
So the members only logo, just to give an idea of what it looks like, it's about 20% smaller and it has just the ball and wings. And our primary logo has the ball and wings with the script, the Baltusrol script below. And by creating this logo, we've created an exclusive member like identity that simplifies the logo on an item, but still gives the member a great sense of pride that they are a part of this club. And the logo setup for all of our vendors, or the logo is set up for all of our vendors to give the member the option to special order anything. And at times there are minimums, but for the most part, we can reach those minimums and find other members to purchase it, or not really going directly to the members asking, but maybe putting it online and offering some members only options there. So we try to do what we can to meet their wants and needs without sacrificing inventory sales and whatnot.
Absolutely. So, tied with that logo, your club has had a lot of success with your members only microsites. And microsites have come a long way from, I remember what they looked like 5 or 6 years ago. They looked so different than they do now. You've used them really innovatively. And I'd say you use them in ways beyond the traditional tea gift setup for them, which I think is how most folks are probably familiar with them or what they think of when they think microsite. They think selecting a member guest tea gift, which is a great usage of them, but you've really pushed the envelope. Can you tell us a little bit what you've done with them and what inspired your creation of some of these microsites?
Sure. So when we launched the logo, it came down to how are we going to offer this and get the word out with not as much space and not enough space that's like exclusive and not space that everyone can see and purchase and whatnot. So that's what really inspired us as a team. And then our members really enjoyed multiple brands. So it helped us offer many different vendors throughout the year and not necessarily have to stock every item from the individual vendors. And the microsites have also really helped us spread the word to members to the membership that we have this members only logo. The key to their success, I would say, is staying in constant communication with our communications department and making
Mhm.
sure that these links to the sites get out at least once a week. And we also try to communicate when a site is live or about to be launched as members are shopping, just to give them a heads up, look out for this. And now they're pretty familiar with the fact that every month and a half we'll be releasing a new one. So I do think they look out for it now. And they'll also come in asking us, when's the next one? So
Mhm.
I think it's really overall helped us spread the word that like this logo's available. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And I think using the different vendors is really smart that you've done so you aren't just committed to necessarily one partnership with a brand or
Mhm.
a members only logo, that you're variety. I think most consumers like variety and trying new things. I think that's great. And I know a lot of times folks think of how much selling space they have, but also the storage. That's an inventory commitment of storing things on site and having the space to display it how you would want to for something exclusive like that. Have you found that it's helped you reach more of your members who are not local? So maybe those folks who are national members or who travel a lot and aren't local to the club, are you seeing them trend towards shopping on the microsites?
Definitely. We see orders from across the country, and we recently did a golf bag microsite with Titleist,
Oh,
offering the
wow.
members only logo on that. And we Titleist was shipping bags, like I said, across the country. Like, and it's hard to necessarily travel home with a new golf bag if you're a
Mm,
member
hmm.
visiting too. So I think
Good
that's
point.
helped them just pick out what they want online and just get it right to their house. And they don't have to worry about calling us to ask for one, emailing us to order one. Like it's the options there and it's open if they want it. And we'll probably keep it open for a while just as we gear up for the new season.
That's amazing. I think when I think microsite, I think apparel. That's been
Mhm.
the traditional use of them, but I think golf bags is an awesome example of something that's cumbersome if they are just visiting or just in town for the week and visiting the shop and not having to
Mhm.
travel home with a golf bag. That's awesome. And something that folks typically like to customize
Yeah.
in your shop when they are ordering a golf bag.
We've also done Tika leather
Ah,
goods. So anywhere from duffel bags to wallets, club glove,
mm.
travel bags. Like we're really trying to expand outside of apparel as well.
I think you might be onto something with the more cumbersome items like club
Yeah.
glove cases for microsites. That's awesome. What do you see as like the next generation of this project? Do you see something coming down the pipeline that you want to get it on, whether with the members only logo or with the microsites or something outside of the box along those lines?
I think next on our list is creating a members only site that is stocked with accessories year round.
Mm, mm,
And we're working on the details of that, but something that only members can access. And it can be anywhere from head covers
mm,
to golf balls, gloves, bags, apparel, valuable pouches, like
mhm,
we
mhm,
want to have a site that is there if they need it and want it, but
mhm,
keep offering the exclusive items from the multiple vendors as well.
mhm.
Just with our space in the shop, we want to make sure that the offerings there for what they want, or if they just want to get something new and see what we have,
Sure.
there's a whole site for that.
Yeah, and that's a good point with accessories because that would be something that traditionally might have a minimum of placing a head cover or placing those sorts of smaller items. I like
Yeah.
it a lot. Shifting gears here, I want to talk a little bit about Baltusrol's member guest raffles. And these are legendary, for lack of a better word, and they're difficult to replicate, and they bring a lot of success to the golf shop. Can you walk us through kind of high level, how do they operate and what does that look like when I say member guest raffle?
Sure. So our members are pretty used to this raffle now and their guests.
Mm,
I know you can attest to that. They get
yeah.
very excited. So we've created this consistency with it, which had to start at some point, right? Like, got to start it and see how it goes. But it's been tremendous for us every month with our member guests. So in the morning, our the members and guests are arriving and we'll have registration and we'll set up near the assistants with a raffle bowl, raffle tickets, and a little change pouch because we only allow cash or member charge. And we'll also sell tickets during the cocktail hour. So we'll sell tickets before the event or before golf and we'll sell them after. So we communicate that we will have a raffle at dinner over usually 20,000 in prizes, and we offer 10 tickets for 100 or an arm's length for 200. Does this ring a bell, Justine?
Oh, yes, yes. I got asked many times if it was my arm span or if it was one of the golf pros' wingspan. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And once registration's complete, we add up what we did in the morning at registration and we talk as a team like what we think we'll do during the cocktail hour and we start picking gifts out. We'll do team prizes, which are 4 people, table prizes, which are 8 people, and then single prizes. And we'll do putters, drivers, wedges, golf bags. We've started doing gift baskets of
Mm,
Smathers or
mhm.
Yeti, like whatever. We'll do rangefinders. Like I said, everyone just gets so excited for it that I would be worried if there's one member guest where we decide not to do it. I don't think that would go over well. I think we'll
No.
always do this, but that just shows they expect it and they love it. It excites them and it's more excitement for after golf and after cocktails and dinner. There's another event at the end.
And it's fun also that they might win a prize just because they're sitting at the table with someone who had the winning ticket. I know
Yeah.
that would be it's an exciting, lively event. I remember like the Scotty Cameron putters were always got a very loud response from those in attendance. So it's certainly what drives that excitement for retail, which
Yeah.
is an exciting event. And can you tell us a little bit about how the back end of that functions of the opportunity that the attendees have in the shop after dinner when they've received their
Sure.
prizes?
Yeah, we charge the 20,000 plus out as retail to our to a member guest account. And then if you win an item, we open the shop up right after the event's over, the raffle's over, and everyone from dinner comes down and you can return any item you received and get credit. So a lot of shopping happens because if you get a putter or wedge and you don't need one, you can come down and either as a member, you can put the money on your account as credit, or as a guest, we sell a ton of items after that as well and go even over because they might have won a rangefinder, but they really need a new driver. So they're gonna exchange that rangefinder for the driver and we're gonna do even more than we thought. It's pretty funny. Once we're on our last item, just seeing you and we would run down to the shop, open it up, turn the lights on, and just you have to decide who's on computers, who's taking returns for members. Like we'll put their member number on the item, we can
Mhm,
return it to their account
mhm,
after the rush, who's bagging items, who's helping on the floor. It's a huge part of our one day, and we all have to be ready for that,
mhm.
the chaos that is so much fun.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's just retail is exciting there. And probably, would you say 75% of the attendees of the event come down to the
Mhm.
shop with a cocktail after dinner, even if their friends are shopping, but they're just there enjoying. It's part of the event
Mhm.
is coming down to the shop after dinner, which is really special. And this is happening at probably after 8 p.m. Um, most of the time. So this is the end of their day of their event. And it's the staff has had a long day too working the member guests, but we all would power through because it was exciting for retail. Everyone's shopping. The members are excited. They may have won a cool prize or their table mate did, and maybe they're
Yeah.
keeping it or they're exchanging it. And just how folks shop, if they are trading something in, they'll probably end up spending more money on something else. They're going to get a gift for their wife. They're going to get something, a more expensive something or other in the shop. So it just fosters that really wonderful retail environment.
Yeah, I'm actually cheesing over that we're going to start those again soon. We didn't do member guests with the upper closed last year. We only had one course, so I'm really excited to get those back because it's fun for all.
hmm
Like when members come by us and say, "Thanks, we had a great day yesterday." I'm like, "We did too.
hmm
Thanks." Like it's just fun.
Yes, yes. And I think the member service is a huge part of it that you can put the credit on a member's account if they want a putter and they just bought one, they really don't need one. Not really interested in buying something now, but no problem, Mr. Smith. We'll put that right on your account and they can enjoy the rest of their evening and the golf shop staff takes care of it on their end.
Yes. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, something very unique. It's part of the culture there in a
Yeah,
way. So I know Baltusrol has a fantastic member mentor program, which I think is probably a little different than when most folks might think of a mentorship program. They might think someone in a more leadership position mentoring someone getting started in the industry. But can you tell us a little bit about what that looks like, how it works with having a member mentor for a staff member?
sure. So the member mentor program is designed to give you a specific member to meet with every month or so to discuss your position, how it's going, do you have questions, concerns, and just offer guidance as you navigate through your new role. I know when I started, I had a lovely member, just we'd get coffee and she would just ask me how it's going and how's your team, how's transitioning into this role. And like I said, just be that support outside of the day to day. And like you said, the more of a manager's role mentoring you or someone from higher up in the leadership. It's nice to be able to have that and have someone to bounce ideas off of too. Do you think we're heading in this direction? And when you're new, it's hard to really understand what direction the club would want to head into if you're new. So it just helps you feel more part of the family here and just gives you that space to understand what is expected of you and like I said, just be able to talk to them about anything.
That's really nice. I think that could be especially helpful, like you said, for someone going through a transition, whether they're at a new place, a new role, or changing roles within the same facility. I think that could be a really nice way to help someone along that path of having a member they can go to and speak with who's outside of our day-to-day of the job, but still very familiar with the club and the membership.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I missed it. A huge part of it is the assistants are here to learn and move on. Just talking about our operation, and they have these member mentors that they can do mock interviews with,
Mhm.
bounce ideas off of, and really gets them ready for that next step, which I think is really beneficial for them to have that practice or that guidance with a member who's probably similar to like members on a board
Mm.
that's hiring. I think it really benefits them to have someone to
Sure,
go to.
sure, sure. Or they might even help lead them to their next
Yeah.
opportunity, thinking of the network as beyond just your colleagues and the folks you work with, but the
Mhm.
members are a part of that network too. So
Yeah.
I know we know of folks who have gotten opportunities that way that have led them.
Yeah.
So looking ahead, what's next for retail at Baltusrol? Are there any exciting initiatives you're looking forward to? ideas? What's coming? What's the next generation of retail look like?
So I mentioned the members only, a site that's live year round for them. So that's something that's exciting that I'm working on. We're all working on. And then on top of the members only, we have a little space in the shop that we have monthly smaller drops coming in with the members only logo. And it got a little hard. We had hats and head covers and some little things in the shop with the members only logo, and it got hard telling so many people they can't purchase it because they're not a member with the amount of the guest volume that we have. So we created these neon green stickers, like just the Avery labels, but we print members only, must be purchased by a member, something like that. And so it's really helped us keep some items in the shop without having so many people come up and ask for it and or ask to purchase it. And then it's also an idea that we're working on is trying to order more of our stock items with members only too. So if a member likes it but wants it in the members only logo, we have it, or vice versa. If they pick up a members only item and they really want it and they're so excited about it, you don't want to crush them, the guests, and say, I'm sorry, it's just members only. So we're trying to really create consistency across all the products in the shop, but have both offerings. And a huge thing that's about to happen is our play deck, which is like our bag drop off, is about to be finished. We have a brand new building, and that's where our director of outside operations and the caddies and golf bags will all be up there. So that's going to give us more storage to hold more members only items, hold more event gifts, because right now, just to go a little deeper into it, our bag room is below the golf shop with the members' bags. So those will all move up to our new play deck or a new bag room, and we'll get all that space to be able to hold, like I said, more back stock and not have to chase event gifts,
Mm.
because usually we say we don't want the order to arrive outside of a week prior to the event, but now we can just get it all here and have that peace of mind that the inventory we ordered is here and it's ready for an event or refill.
That's great. I think storage space is so important. I know so many shops struggle with that of finding good storage space. So that's definitely important piece for our retailers. So last question as we wrap up here, are there any key retail lessons you've learned over the last few years that you'll carry forward or advice you might give in those lessons to merchandisers getting started in the industry?
Sure. I think what I've learned the most in the last few years is how to communicate and communicating how I do things throughout our operation. So it can be easy to take on as much as you can yourself, but then the little things start falling apart. And it's important to teach the skills that we've all learned over the years to the rest of the team, because it just, it helps create more of a work-life balance too, if you're not the only one answering
Mm-hmm.
questions, and also prepares the people on your team for the next step. And I think that by not sharing what you've learned and learning with them is doing them a disservice for their growth. And I think we're really focusing on what's been a good 4 years of feeling like we're one whole team. But me, myself, being a team player, like golf can get crazy. I've been on that side and I've seen tournaments running around, and now I've seen this retail side as well. So just understanding that I got you if you've got me. There's going to be days where golf's crazy, there's going to be days where retail's crazy, and we
Mm-hmm.
need to learn to take and give and just work as a team. And really, that's my focus this year is communication and teamwork.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. Yes, I love that focus on it being a two-way street. That's terrific. Wonderful. So many wonderful things. So nice chatting with you, Maggie, as always. We're so delighted to have you here, a part of the podcast. So thank you for joining us. This was terrific.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you, everyone, for joining in to another episode of the Fairway to Retail Success. We look forward to seeing you again next time. Take care, everyone.